Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, we say Kalam Layah Bashim Hashab Bashim Makakodash. And the wellness of the elders and apostles, great most don't do but one teach well. Honest the brothers, precious truth across the full counsel of sincerity. Alright, is upon you. Back again with a video. Lord, and be edifying to the full like. It's the book of Jeremiah 20 and 8. The prophets that have been before me, before the old, prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war, the evil and the pestilence. Alright, so, as the prophets before us, going all the way back to the garden, it talks about the Lord. Was walking with the cool of the day. That word for cool of the day is a prophetic spirit. So it's really Adam and Eve consulting with a prophet, talking to a prophet, right? Not the Heavenly Father himself, walking around, strolling around on a cool day. That's not what it means, right? So, prophets always been around, and like scripture says, the spirit of prophets is subject to a prophet. So if you're a prophet back then, you reincarnate, and be a prophet now, because like it says in Daniel 12, we all stand in our own lots, right? So, Daniel, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, all these great men, are around today, and they're amongst the brotherhood. And, our job is not to go around, and, say, oh, wait, I'm this brother, I'm Ezekiel, don't bug yourself out trying to do that, right? Because you have guys out there that'll say madness, trying to say that they're Elijah, or John the Baptist, when John the Baptist already came back, right? It's all Bivens, right? So don't play that kind of game like that individual. He's going off, man. Right, so we can go into that. This book of Amos, chapter 3 and 6. Start showing people in the city, and people not be afraid. Should be evil in the city. And I've not done it. Alright, because the Lord, He creates good, He creates evil. Alright, so this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 45, and this is Isaiah 45 and 7. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things, right? And you read here, it's talking about Cyrus, that he would pretty much have rulership for time, and that he would, through him, us, our people, us, would be let out. Right? And I don't believe it happened in Cyrus's time. I think there was a time where there was like a releasing in his time, but then there was another time, at a time of Xerxes as well. So there was like multiple releases during the Persian Empire, because the people was captured, under the Babylonians. But then the Babylonians, they were rooted out, right, by what's his name? I think Darius the Mede was his name, who rooted him out. But you can go into the history on that. And then, it's all in the scriptures, but there's also the secular history that backs it up. I gotta go back into that again, but there's a change of powers, right? But then when the Persians came up, they let us go, right? When our people going in captivity, right? Which, our people put into these captivities because we were going off and not following, and upholding our end of the agreement for the covenant, for the old covenant, the first covenant, right? And now, we're in a time period, where we're in between, the old and the new. So it's the time period to get right. Right, so it's a book about Amos 3 and 6. Shall be born in the city, and the people will not be afraid. Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord have not done it. Right, so yeah, man, the Lord causes it. Right, and we spiritually blowing that trumpet to push His word, man. Right, surely the Lord power do nothing but reveal the secret to the servants, the prophets. Right, so yeah, the Lord will do nothing reveal the secrets to service the prophets. All right. The word prophet means to speak before. All right. Pro means speak. Facade meaning to pro meaning before. Facade meaning to speak. So you're speaking. You're before speaking. All right. So that's what we do when we go on highways and byways. We break out these scriptures. We tell you of events that are gonna happen before it happens. Right. That moving into time of Jacob's trouble, moving into time of wars, violence, destruction. You know, we go into all those things, right, regularly. You know, we always breaking it down. Right? So, I'm gonna let that be that. You know, I'm a little edified in this issue.